So, yeah, Geno Auriemma is somebody that every time he speaks about Caitlin Clark, he's going to go viral. Why? Because he is known for... Geno Auriemma is one of the greatest college coaches of all time, who is as much known for his horrendous rant about Caitlin Clark, saying that she was not ready for the WNBA and how it was disrespectful to have her predicted to be top 4 in MVP voting when she finished top 4 in MVP voting. How she's on the wrong team. She doesn't have the right skill set for the WNBA. And then for good measure, he ended the rant by saying that Paige Bueckers also does not have the right skill set for the WNBA, and she's not built for the WNBA. And both Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark walked in as top 5 guards. They walked in as top 5 guards. I believe Caitlin was the best guard by the end of her rookie year, and I believe Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers are the 2 best guards in basketball right now. I think Caitlin's better than Paige, but I'm being very, very clear here. It's not by enough that I think if you want to argue Paige over Caitlin. Like, the one thing you could always say was Caitlin stepped up late in games and Paige is doing that. So if you think Paige is better, so be it. So be it. I'm not gonna... I don't think that, but it's that close. It is that close between Paige and Caitlin. But yeah, look, we gotta go and talk about it because, again, Geno Auriemma is somebody that is kind of a big deal, but some of the things that Geno said, and this is the one thing I really, really hate. I hate that Geno said. Like, again, there's a big long thing that he said, yada, yada. Like he said, I said this got a lot of criticism. I said Caitlin Clark fans in America are delusional, think she's going to go up there and turn the WNBA on its ear, which she did. Like, you're going to have a Larry Bird effect in the NBA on the court, or Magic Johnson effect on the court, which she did. She turned the worst team for 10 years into, by the end of the season, after 10 games, they were the 3rd best team in the league. Like, it is what it is. Doesn't mean you're not built. You're not built for that right now. She was, as was Paige, by the way. As was Paige. Like, he got it wrong about Paige, and he got it wrong. Like, because Paige Bueckers said, I said the same with Steward, was coming out. Stewie and all my guys, when they came out. Stewie was that good too. Taurasi was fantastic. That's what Taurasi was alluding to. But, like, I don't think people understand. Paige and Caitlin were that good. They were that good. There's no point. Why are we rewriting history? We saw it with our eyes. They both were that good. They both walked into the league as top 10 players. What are we doing? Said because bandwagon fandom became so obsessed the whole thing, it turned into a cause. She became the reason why white players get beat in WNBA. She became the reason why black players don't get endorsement deals. And in fairness, that's a bit of a, that's a bit of a defense of Caitlin Clark, basically being like, both sides are just blaming Caitlin Clark for everything negative. And don't get the adulation white players get. So instead of it becoming Clark gets felled hard, no shit, every first round pick gets felled hard. No, they don't. No, they don't. How many players that have been drafted have been called a white B word and blindside hip checked while the ball's out of bounds? I think the correct answer is 0. How many of these players have had not 1, not 2, but 3 fouls retroactively be upgraded after the game because the referees fucked up flagrant fouls in game time? It's just been Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has been fouled on more. Caitlin Clark this season is the most fouled on 3-point shooting player. She's had 0 landing space fouls this year. It's pretty bad. Not every foul is a bad foul. There are fouls that are flagging, but that's all they are. Not a referendum on America, which is the whole God thing to come. I agree with that. A foul is a foul, right? Here's my thing. It's not happening to Paige. Or if it is happening, I don't hear about it. Because when Paige Bueckers gets a landing zone foul, she gets the foul. Paige Bueckers had 2 landing zone fouls against the Fever. Like, she got a landing zone foul where she didn't land on anyone's feet last year. She landed on the ground and somehow got a landing zone foul on Sophie Cunningham. Like, she got a phantom landing zone foul last year. She gets refereed properly. Like, no one's questioning whether or not Paige... People are saying Paige gets a bad whistle, but, like, she gets refereed properly. And then this is what I mean when I say this. Someone says people in America are delusional that one player is not Wemby's going to come in and transform the league. But Caitlin did. On the court, I don't think people understand what Caitlin Clark did to the WNBA. You do realize before Caitlin Clark came into the league, Tiara McCowan was nearly an all-star. Kalani Brown was seen as an important asset. Camila Cardoso's of the world, the Lauren Betts of the world, that archetype of player was seen as a franchise cornerstone. Those archetypes of player don't exist anymore. They're out of the league. Caitlin Clark's ability to run a pick and roll, and not even ability to run a pick and roll, her team's willingness to let her run the pick and roll. I don't think people understand how different the basketball was even 2 years ago. She eradicated an archetype because of what her and Leah Boston did. But this is what I mean. This is really bad. Basically, he said she's Tiger, but she doesn't win. And this is what I mean. This is awful. Having said that, I do think there are personal animosities in that league where people are going to take a shot at her unfairly. No question about that. Anyone can deny it all they want, because if I'm wrong, then there'll be a lot more people coming out in defense, and they're not. And neither am I, because I don't coach in the league, I don't play in the league. But yes, it shouldn't be a national referendum. Yes, there are players in the league who love to kick her ass every minute of the day. So basically, he just said, yeah, players hate her. Players want to hurt her. But I don't coach in the league, so I'm not defending her. And you better believe he wouldn't say that if it was UConn. So basically, he said, I'm not going to come to the defense of her because I don't coach her. But yeah, they're trying to hurt her. Like that's just a bad human being. Like, that's one of those things where you're like, are you fucking kidding me, right? Are you kidding me? Like, that feels like, on a human level, one of the worst things I've heard Geno say. Like, he didn't have to say that. He could have ended this with, anyone can deny it, because if I'm wrong, there'll be a lot more people coming to her defense, and they're not. He could have ended it right there and then, and not had to say, and I'm not coming to her defense either, because I don't coach in the league, so I'm not defending her. So basically, he admitted that players in the league are targeting a player. Let's be very clear. There are players that want to kick her ass every minute of the day. There are players that are violently targeting a player. And because you don't coach in the league, you're not going to, come out in defense of said player. That's wild. Like, that is, I hope I'm misinterpreting that statement, because that's what I'm taking from that. That's what I'm taking from that. That it's you didn't go to UConn. So, and by the way, let's be very real. If he had coached, if this was one of his players, it is what it is. And then he went on a rant as well, being like, look, remember in Paige's freshman year when nobody knew who Caitlin Clark was? It's like, well, yeah, that was the story. And I don't think people understand is the reason why Geno's not going to create a superstar, because you bring in all the superstars. Like, Caitlin Clark's not Caitlin Clark if she goes to Notre Dame. Caitlin Clark was the hometown hero. Caitlin Clark was the player who didn't go to Notre Dame, who didn't go to a blue blood, who didn't go to a title, who went to a team where they laughed at her saying that they had a chance of making the Final Four. And from the day she set foot in there, was a near 30 and 10 player. Relentless, broke the all-time scoring record, and carried a team, by the way, where the second best player was Kate Martin. They had one other WNBA player who's barely on contract, beating Geno and UConn with Paige. Unfortunately, they couldn't beat South Carolina twice. They couldn't beat LSU twice. But they beat both of them once, and unfortunately, they lost the games that mattered. But to make back-to-back championship games, and the way they did it, like, she lost to LSU, and then she comes out the next year and is 2 assists off a 40-point triple-double, when everyone is watching in what is one of the craziest games, on a team who, in her senior year, didn't have a center. They didn't even have a center. That's the only reason they lost. Kate Martin was guarding Camila Cardoso. And not only that, they were in the game against South Carolina that following year. A South Carolina team with Dahina Powpow, Raven Johnson, Sanaya Fagan, Bree Hall, Camila Cardoso. I'm trying to think who else is on that team. There were a lot. And I mean a lot of WNBA players. Basically, if you go to South Carolina and you last 4 years, you're making the league. And Yeah, the story, the Caitlin Clark, the reason why Caitlin Clark overtook Paige in popularity, Paige was the high school star. People were showing for her games in high school. And Paige lived up to the hype. And there's no question about that. Paige lived up to the hype. Paige is fantastic. She lived up to the hype. She got injured. And then while that's all happening, when she's getting injured, UConn are underperforming, which they did. UConn until they lost that Tennessee game on February the 6th or whatever it was, 2024, to lose their 5th game of the season. Or sorry, 2025, to lose their 5th game of the season in the 24-25 season when they were expected to walk the college championship. They weren't even a 1 seed in the tournament, by the way. Like, they lost those games. And then all of a sudden, like, that team lost to Notre Dame. They lost to UConn. They lost to... Sorry, lost to USC. They lost to Tennessee. Did they lose to UCLA? I can't even remember, but like they lost every game. Or they lost nearly all their big games. They lost every single close game with Sarah Strong. And until then, teams with Paige Bueckers post freshman year, I'm not going to say underperformed because I do think 2022, the team making the championship game was probably a bit of an overperformance. But like they lost to Arizona in 2021. In 2020, I know they beat Baylor, which is huge. In 2023, they lost in the Sweet 16, I think. The Lou Lopez Seneschal and Dorky Uhas team. In 2024, Caitlin beat them. Like, while UConn and South Carolina were stacking the deck and people were being UConn fans stayed UConn fans, Caitlin Clark as an individual did stuff that had never been done before. And you might have said, oh, other people did. No, they didn't. There's a reason why she literally rewrote the record book. But I'm just really disappointed because for me, it feels like Geno Auriemma basically has confirmed the players are targeting Caitlin, but won't even come to her defense because he's not coaching the league. And let's be very real. Like if he coached Caitlin Clark, he would. Like the UConn Mafia agendas are not in a good spot right here. That sounds crazy. Like that someone says a normal part of being a competitive athlete. Not really when people want to beat the shit out of you. Not really when we all know the context of this. Like, because let's be real, Geno Auriemma is not saying this. He's not saying this if he doesn't know for a fact. I would be shocked if he is. This statement here just makes him seem like a complete another dickhead of a human being. But yeah, that is the video. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Geno. I think that's been pretty clear on this channel. But yeah, this one's just a weird one. This one's a really weird one. Anyway, see you guys.